So you following that? You sort of kind of believe it? When we say the easiest way for you to have non-resistant thought is to get out ahead of it. Oh, we'll say it to you even in a more blunt way. The easiest way for you to have non-resistant thought is to hang out with a new person that you don't know. The less you know about them, the less resistant thought is within you. Oh, you're a stranger. I love you. Oh, you killed your entire family? Ah. We're just playing with you a little bit here, but we want you to just for a moment try to feel the power of this non-resistant thought. So we've been saying recently, what you want to do is get out ahead of it. You want to get out ahead of your thoughts, and people want to get out ahead of it. They just don't know what that means. And we gave one example already. Segment intending means I'm in a new segment. New people just walked into the room, and do you know that our segment just changed? Because they have no idea what we've been talking about. And so the energy of the room has just shifted. Now, not a problem to all of us, because we're in the vortex. Yes, we're in that empowerment. Might be a little while for them to catch up with it, but the segment did just shift, and therefore you are going to notice a little repetition that you wouldn't have noticed before had new people not walked into the room. Following what we're getting at? Getting out ahead of it. Don't want confusion on the part of those that haven't been here. So when you get into your automobile, it's a new segment. When a new person joins you at the dinner table, a new segment begins. And if you will take just a moment, we're talking about a few seconds to acknowledge new segment and what I intend is. Because if you get out ahead of it, what I intend is to have fun. If you're out ahead of it, even though somebody who joined your dinner table who was in a bad mood and wasn't planning on having any fun, if you got out ahead of it with your intent to have fun, you're more likely to have fun even though he isn't. This is powerful stuff, because we love you so much, you are knee-jerkers. You have knee-jerk reactions to life, and that holds you in mundane creation. It holds you in less powerful creation. It doesn't let you feel your absolute power. Now here's another thing. We're going to stay with you for a little while on this conversation until we can feel that you're grasping it, because this process, you've heard the words before. Daydream. Do you remember when you were kids? Before you were responsible, before you felt responsible, before you were resistant, before you were defensive. Some of you can remember those moments in time. Some of them you've been living recently, but it's a little snatch of time where somehow you're not resistant in thought, and your mind is just receiving the ingredients of your vortex. They're putting themselves together with the tutelage or tutorialage, with the help of your inner being, who knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you want, and knows what the ingredients that you put into your vortex is. So knows what the path of least resistance is for you to receive a thought. So do you think that you're here to create your own reality? You are. But do you think that the reason that you're here to create your own reality is that when you create your own reality, you will like it better? Well, that's one reason. But it isn't the reality that you are creating that you are here about. It's the thrill of reality creating that you're here about. It's the thrill of lining up with your true power and watching what you desire flow to you through the power of your own focus. It's the journey. Now you've heard that your whole life. The joy is in the journey. Almost everybody is saying it, and nobody knows even what they mean when they're talking about the joy is in the journey. But we want you to know that what we mean by the joy is in the journey is that you did a lot of the journey when you knew what you didn't want, and therefore knew what you did want. And you say, well, that was not all that joyful. And we say, well, it was to your inner being, because you were identifying who you are. When someone was rude, you said, I like nicer. When somebody was hateful, you want more love. When somebody is diminished in some way, you want upliftment. When someone is sick, you want well. When someone's confused, you want clarity. When it's you, even more. You've been isolating and identifying, and there is this extraordinary grouping of ingredients that are the making of an ecstatic life experience for you. But you got to find a way to be in the vibrational vicinity of it. Now, we've been telling you this story in lots of different ways. We've been saying to you, step one is you ask. That's the contrast part of it. Know what I don't want, ask for what I do want, whether you put it in words or not. Step two is that's the source energy part of it. That's your inner being part of it. That's the vortex part of it. That's the gathering of the cooperative components part of it. Step two, when you ask, it is given. It's in vibrational form, and you say, I don't want it to be in vibrational form. I want it to be out where I can see it. I'd like to park it in my garage. I'd like to take it to my bed. I would like to go to the movies with it. I don't want this vibrational reality creation. And we say, but it is that way in the beginning. And so if you will accept that the ingredients are there and that you will be guided, you will be led, you'll be called, you are being guided, you are being led, you are being called to your path of least resistance. But what we're saying to you here today is you've got some whopping resistance going on, because you have played the objective game so much that you hardly ever put yourself in a position where you can receive an impulse that's on the path of least resistance and feel the empowerment of your inner being about it. Life is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to feel really good to you, but satisfaction is an important factor. Let's talk about satisfaction for a moment, because satisfaction is you feeling whole. Our friend said it's like coming home. Satisfaction is you feeling whole. It's being all that you really are. It's closing the gap. It's coming into resonance with the fullness of all that you are. It's all those things that you describe, like clarity and love and friskiness and all of that. And so when you realize that you're a vibrational being, so much of what's around you isn't really in resonance with you, because most of the world doesn't know that they are vibrational beings. Most of the world is tallying up where they're standing right now, and so they're looking at you and you're looking at them, and you let too much of your vibrational nature be about what you're observing. The point that we really want to make, and if there's ever a day that we've made it, and ever a day that you'll walk out of the room knowing it, this is the point that we want to make. As humans, you mostly set your vibrational tone based upon what you're observing through your physical senses, and usually there's quite a lot of resistance within that observation, where your inner being never looks at what is in your physical manifested form. That's not the reason that your inner being offers the vibration that your inner being offers. Your inner being offers the vibration that your inner being offers because of all that you've become. Stands in the full abundance of source with no resistance whatsoever. That's why there's so much power in that, you see. So if you can get it clear in your mind that you've got your inner being who is all powerful because there's no resistance, and you often are limited in your power because there is resistance, and then you decide to look in the direction and be more like your inner being, be more inner being like. So these are the things that your inner being does. Your inner being always looks for the best feeling thought that your inner being can find, and that's some positive thought. Your inner being is not just looking at the ingredients that are in your vortex. Your inner being is looking ahead to the combining of those ingredients to the things that you want. Your inner being is way down the road on what you want, and that's where your inspired ideas come from. That's where your inspiration comes from. That's where inventions come from, and being in the right place at the right time comes from. You have this friend upstream who has already seen what you want to call your future, but your inner being doesn't regard it as your future. Your inner being regards it as its isness, its nowness, you see. And so this whole conversation has been about you all figuring out, and it will be you to demonstrate for yourself. We're just giving you some words that might make it easier. You want to find a way to mesh the past and the present and the future all into one state of being, you see, where most humans, when you look back, you lose your connection to source, because when you look back, you disengage from the power that you are. And so we're not saying you can't look back, and we're not saying that there are not good memories sometimes when you look back there. We're just saying that usually when you look back, you have a proclivity to shoot yourself in the foot and find some vibrational resistance, where when you look forward, you don't do that so much. We want you to be deliberate about your creation, and we want you to set goals. We want you to be clear about what you want, but we want you also to understand that if you spend about 5% of your time doing that and the rest of your time just being in a state of allowing, that you would have a much more exciting life, a much more pleasurable life. And so some of the things that are important for you to do, a sort of mindset to hold to make that easier for you, is decide that you don't have to explain anything to anyone, that you're not needing a friend to understand, that you're not needing a friend to observe you and understand you, because you've got all of source energy. You've got what man wants to call God. You've got your own inner being. You've got your own state of becoming. There isn't anything that would be more comforting to you or more satisfying to you than to let yourself be who you really are, to let yourself be who you really are. Can you wrap your thoughts around that? Have we covered enough vibrational ground here today that you are beginning to get a glimpse of your prosperity and your rightness, your in the right placeness, your worthiness? And so
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really good. Really good.